promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna make a scene.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Annie. If you're returning, hey, it's me, Annie. So today, here we go again. Today we're going to be talking about a third person has stepped forward to file a lawsuit against Diddy once again. So now the Shade Room posts that a spokesperson for Diddy speaks out after a third accuser files a lawsuit for SA. Mr. Combs is being unfairly targeted by anonymous accusers who lie for financial gain. Quote, these are civil suits with fabricated claims of misconduct from over 30 years ago, which are nothing but a blatant money grab. Mr. Combs is being unfairly targeted by anonymous accusers who lie for financial gain. The New York legislature never intended the Adult Survivors Act to be exploited. End quote. Statement from spokesperson for Mr. Combs. Now, in the description, it says, early Friday, news broke that a third accuser has stepped forward and accused Diddy of SA. According to Rolling Stone, the plaintiff, who goes by the name Jane Doe, accused the mogul as well as singer Harren Hall from the R&B group of inappropriate or forced entry of her privates of her and her friend back in 1990 or 1991. A spokesperson for Diddy spoke out in a statement and said these are civil suits with fabricated claims of misconduct from over 30 years. As a repeat. See, this is why some celebrities have, ever since the Cassie suit came out and it was settled and that was the end of it. Everybody speculated how fast it was. If he did, then he must be guilty. And then you have celebrities like Slim Thug, who spoke out and said that, oh, now, she should have said something sooner. There should be a statute of limitation for accusations like this. And when you're in a situation like that, it's hard for you to speak out, especially if in her instance, she was way younger. She was allegedly, she was naive. She didn't know any better. She had to just go with the program if she wanted to be, successful in the industry. And Diddy was allegedly intimidating her with physical violence and so forth. So in those times, it was hard to just come out and say how you feel. It's like a lot of times females would be like, oh, I would have done this and I would have done that if that was me. But it's like, you got to understand, if you were in that, you're not going to know what you're going to do unless you're in that situation. It's hard to predict how you would react. So now, because the lawsuit, it was brought out, it was settled within 24 hours, there's speculation that, yeah, he might have been guilty or he is guilty. That's why he settled it so quickly. I believe the reason why it was probably settled so quickly, I think because they might have been talking behind the scenes all along and just never came to a resolution. So at that point, she was probably like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go public with this. I don't care. I'm going to put it out. And then he was probably like, all right. How much money do you want? All of a sudden, it's settled. It's squashed. So now people are speculating, oh, it's a money grab. You should have been spoke. Now it's going to open the floodgates for other females to come out and just, all of a sudden, they've been assaulted, in this case, 30 years ago, by not only him, but also another artists in the industry. And it's just like, you can't, again, these are back in the 90s. There was no real cell phones. There was no recordings. There was no way to prove anything. It was your word against a millionaire at the time who had everybody on payroll, who jumped at the snap of a finger to do something. Remember, in Cassie's document, she said like everybody that was working with him, around him, they all did as he said. There was like almost like it was no escape. She was stuck in that, allegedly stuck in that predicament for 10 years. So it's like back then, it wasn't as simple as just running to social media to just say how you feel and, you know, everything will be wiped clean. No, it was a different time. He's out here blowing up people's cars, allegedly. You know, now they're, you know, unwanted touching, forceful entry of another female's private areas with a friend. So now you're talking running a train. Is just crazy. Here, Rolling Stone says that their article states that third accuser sues Sean Combs for sexual assault. Jane Doe, plaintiff, alleges Combs and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall took turns violating her and a friend after an event at Uptown Records in the early 1990s. Sean Diddy Combs has been hit with a third lawsuit alleging SA under the Adult Survivors Act that expired after Thanksgiving. Wow. The new complaint from an anonymous accuser alleges Combs and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall took turns invading her private area, the plaintiff and her friend, in 1990 or 1991, and that Diddy turned violent during a rage days later. Sounds familiar, but again, these are all alleged. In the filing obtained by Rolling Stone, Jane Doe alleges she and her friend met Diddy and Hall at an event hosted by MCA Records, the distributor of Uptown Records, at the company's offices in New York. Quote, Combs and Hall were very flirtatious and handsy with Jane Doe and her friend, offering them drinks throughout the night. End quote. The filing reads, as the event was winding down, Combs and Hall allegedly invited the women back to Hall's apartment for an after party. While at Hall's apartment, Jane Doe was offered more drinks and was coerced into having sex with Combs, the filing claims. After Combs finished doing his business, Jane Doe laid in bed, shocked and traumatized. As she was in the process of getting dressed, Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and forced Jane Doe to have sex with him. The complaint says Jane Doe quickly got dressed and fled from Hall's residence after the alleged wrap-up. It alleges she later spoke to her friend and learned that the other woman had been forced to have sex with Combs and Hall in another room. So apparently she was in one room, her friend was in another. Allegedly, Aaron Hall and Diddy got finished with her friend and was now heading to her room to be of an acquaintance without her permission. Upon information and belief, when Combs finished with Jane Doe, he and Hall switched, the paperwork states. A couple days after the alleged assaults, Combs allegedly visited the home where Jane Doe and her friend were staying and turned violent. So after he done did his thing, he done popped up at her crib, and it's like, did she tell him where she lived? How did he know? Did he follow her home? They took her home? How he just popped up at her crib and just turned violent? I guess he was allegedly stomping and kicking like in the Cassie allegations. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Jane Doe to the point that she passed out, the complaint alleges. Combs was searching for Jane Doe's friend because he was worried that she would tell the girl he was with at the time what he and Hall had done to them. Now, again, this is allegedly back in the 90s. Who was Diddy dating back in the 90s? I'll have to look that up. But they continue to say, alongside Hall and Combs, the suit names MCA Music Entertainment and Geffen Records as defendants. Reps for Hall and Combs did not immediately return requests for comment on Friday. The lawsuit filed in New York County Supreme Court alleges Jane Doe informed her close friends and family about what had occurred. It claims she sought medical treatment to heal from the trauma visited upon her by Combs and Hall. Now, there was another, I think the second allegation, where that complainant also said that she had to have some kind of medical treatment as well. But that case was a little bit, it didn't seem plausible to me. It sounded as if they were just coming up with some kind of storyline to put out there. It's not as descriptive as the Cassie documents, but there is some descriptions. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, again, allegedly, this was 30 years ago. Keep that in. This was 30 years ago. Diddy is now, what, in his 50s? I mean, you still got good memory at that point, but who knows? A lot of drinking and drug use back then. You never know. Diddy accused of 1991 essay of college student in new lawsuit. The lawsuit claims the victim couldn't independently stand or walk after Diddy allegedly drugged her in 1991. Apparently, see, she was high as a kite. Again, sounds very similar. Remember, in Cassie's claims, he used to give her the little mints whenever they would have their little rendezvous with other men, to the point that after she finally got away from the situation, she had to check herself into a rehabilitation center because she was now an addict. She was now an addict from the consistent abuse and paraphernalia. Diddy Combs is being accused of essay assault in lawsuit filed in Manhattan Supreme Court. According to court documents obtained by People, a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal. Okay. So apparently they mentioned her name in these documents. Interesting. It seems as though at first she wanted to remain anonymous, but then decided to put her name out there. Interesting. According to the court documents obtained by People, a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal is accusing Diddy, 54, of drugging and unlawful her when she was a college student at Syracuse University in 1991. Attorneys for Dickerson Neal claim she was the victim of revenge blue movie after the music mogul allegedly recorded the incident and shared the tape with others in the music industry. This seems to be another allegation. Diddy is denying the allegations, claiming Dickerson Neal fabricated the story. The last-minute lawsuit is an example of how a well-intentioned law can be turned on its head. Miss Dickerson's 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her, and she implicates companies that did not exist. This is purely a money grab and nothing more. So this seems to be yet a completely, this may be the second lawsuit that came out. According to the complaint, Dickinson Neal knew Diddy through mutual friends and appearing alongside him in a music video. Dickinson Neal's lawyer, Jonathan Goldhirsch, said in a press release sent to people that the victim had already heard of Diddy's alleged mistreatment of women at the time that she met him and was cautious around him. So again, there's a lot of people coming out and claiming assault by Diddy, and it's like, Hall 59, this is back to the third allegation that just came out recently. Hall 59 could not be immediately contacted. He is best known as a member of the 1980s R&B group Guy, which is currently on tour. He's on tour? Wow. I thought they were... I guess people still want to hear their music. I don't know. The lawsuit also names as defendants Hall. The lawsuit also names as defendants Hall, MCA Inc. and MCA Music Entertainment Group and Geffen Records. It alleges battery, assault, and SA, and negligent infliction of emotional distress, and seeks unspecified damages at trial. After the incident, the alleged victim informed her close friends and family of what had occurred. So, the woman was said to have suffered physical injury, lasting psychological and financial damages, severe emotional distress, humiliation, loss of dignity, and invasion of privacy. Whew, that's a lot. Diddy. I'm not gonna front. I never really liked Diddy. It was just something about him that just irks me to this day. And now all this is surfacing. It just makes me realize how much more I really don't like. I knew it was something about him I didn't like. Like I said in my previous video, I'm a huge fan of Usher. So when Usher, Usher's like indebted to Diddy. He always gives him his flowers. He always shouts him out no matter what. Diddy, because Diddy gave him the opportunity, gave him that star in the industry. And to him, he feels indebted to him that, he kind of propelled his career. Even though that first album flopped, Usher, it's still a classic today, but every time Usher would shout Diddy out, I would get so irked about it because he just comes off as arrogant. He think he the ish. It's to the point I can't even stand his little pointy eyebrows. You know what I'm saying? It was just something and I just couldn't put my finger on it. He claims it's all love and changed his name to Love. He's all about love. When behind closed doors, you're like allegedly assaulting women, you know what I'm saying, with your friends, and then you have your staff members, your yes men on payroll to just do whatever you tell them to do. It's insane. So here we are. A third accuser has come forward to accuse Diddy of, again, SA. That's insane. And it's like, Usher, shout him out now. Shout Diddy out now. I dare you. Have y'all had a talk? You think I believe Usher might have hit Diddy up to ask, hey man, what's going on? Diddy's like, you know what? It might be Diddy might have, of course he's not gonna agree with it. He's definitely gonna deny it. He's on trial. He's not gonna. Whew. Yeah, that was the second lawsuit back in 1991. Some people say that her story seems like fabricated. Her story seems fabricated. Diddy may be innocent, but Puff Daddy did it. R. Kelly denied all claims too. Look where he at. He denied Cassie claims and then paid her the next day. He guilty. Diddy may be innocent, but Puff Daddy did it. Another person says guilty. People been saying stuff for years. He's a powerful man who took advantage of his hierarchy. People have been outing him for years and nobody blinked an eye. Cassie opened the floodgates to allow victims to finally have the balls to sue and the world ears to listen. It's just too much. It's like people had their opinions and their thoughts, but there was never any proof. Now proof is starting to surface. Everybody now has an opinion. And I'm sure more men might be coming out to say stuff. I think some male celebrities are afraid to speak up about it. Like, what are you afraid of? Like, everybody's entitled to your opinion. You really think he's going to do something now? Shit, back then, he probably been trying to play tough because he was afraid of Suge Knight at the time. Remember, it was all, Biggie and all this stuff going on around that time. He was just maybe playing tough. He was just, I knew Daddy wasn't ish when he made the band walk to get him cheesecake. Another person said Cassie gave a lot of women courage to speak. Been a horrible month for Diddy. How can we make December worse? People already waiting for the wrap up for this year. But anyways, we now have a third allegation. First it was Cassie that was out and settled within 24 hours. Then we have the female college student who claimed that he drugged her and SA'd her about 30 years ago. And now there's a third, Jane Doe, alleging the same thing. But this time it was not only him, but also Aaron Hall. Allegedly. We'll see where this goes from here. Diddy, it ain't looking too good. I'm sure you're gonna you got money, but you might have to fork up some money if some of these allegations turn out to be factual and plausible and provable in the court of law. But it's a shame, you know what I'm saying? Why ruin your career? I mean, I guess some people thought some things would just never come back around, and it did. It came back around 3 times fold. It's not funny, but it's funny. It's a horrible situation. I feel for him. As much as I dislike Diddy, you never want to see somebody go through the difficulties of trying to prove their innocence in the court of law, especially as so drastic as, SA, and it's all females. Now, if a man, God forbid, if a man comes out and stating the same claims, I don't know, because that was another topic of discussion also, that he was, go both ways. Is there going to be a man that's going to pop out the bushes like Homer and step forward and say that they were also assaulted? We'll see. But anyways, that's it for now. If you made it to the end of this video, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, share my content, and let me know what y'all think. You think he innocent? You think this is all a money grab? Let me know in the comments. I'm Annie, and nice talking to you.